and spiritually. We all go through storms in our lives. And we may not be thankful for it at the time. But He makes all things work for our good. So even though you might be in the middle of a storm today, just be thankful you woke up this morning. Be thankful for another chance to try again. I'm sure that there's people that didn't make it through this storm, the physical storm that we're actually having. So I pray for their families. I pray for anybody who's struggling through that right now. Thankfully, I live in an area where we don't really get a lot of bad weather like that, and I'm thankful for that. So, that being said, I'm here with the Daily Devotional from Sarah Young's Jesus Calling for September 27th, 2024. Relax in my everlasting arms. Your weakness is an opportunity to grow strong in awareness of my almighty presence. When your energy fails you, do not look inward and lament, L-A-M-E-N-T, lament the lack you find there. I'm going to have to look that word up. I don't know what that means. Look to me and my sufficiency. Rejoice in my radiant riches that are abundantly available to help you. Go gently through this day, leaning on me and enjoying my presence. Thank me for your neediness, which is building trust bonds between us. Ooh. If you look back on your journey thus far, you can see that days of extreme weakness have been some of your most precious times. What did I just say? Memories of these days are richly interwoven with golden strands of my intimate presence. She references Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 27, and Psalm 27, verses 13 and 14. If you look back on this journey thus far, if you look back on your journey thus far, you can see that days of extreme weakness have been some of your most precious times. Sure, a lot of lessons are learned in those times. Friends are made. Even though friends are lost, friends can be made during extreme times of weakness. Those storms that we go through. 4:44 on the timer. You never realize how strong you are until you don't have a choice. Unfortunately, we go through storms in our lives that we could have never have predicted. They rip it apart. They expose things that we don't necessarily want to be exposed. Imagine the roof being ripped off of a house. And like your whole, or even like just the side of the house being ripped off. To where, oh yeah, like an old Barbie house. You know, it had all the rooms and everything, but then you could open the back and then everything was exposed, right? That's what the storms in our lives do. You know, if you think of it like an onion with the layers, it's ripping the layers off and exposing that's underneath. Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. But it happens most of the time within us to help us heal the brokenness, to help us organize the chaos. He is not the author of confusion. If you're confused, there's something wrong. I mean, on a life perspective, if you're confused about where you're going, what you're doing, what your purpose is, sometimes it takes those storms coming through and ripping some layers off for us to be able to find out what those things are. It's not always fun. It's very rarely easy. And it's probably going to hurt. That's how we remember things. Which I realize that there's people out there that don't have to learn the hard way. But I think for the most part, the general population, we end up having to learn the hard way. For whatever reason. Either because we just don't want to listen, or we don't understand. We're listening to the wrong people, places, things, getting yourself in alignment can be hard. And it's very easy to fall out of alignment. Every day, something new is presented with us. If you're living life. I mean, in my opinion, even if you're not, even if you're locked up in the house all day, epiphanies are going to happen. Things are going to happen that are going to test you. But that's how we learn. I've been through a lot of storms. And most of them were not fun. Some of them I probably don't even remember at this point. As soon as we're born, we start learning. As soon as we're born, we start dying. Just because something is growing doesn't mean it's living. Does that make sense? Even though something is aging, doesn't mean it's growing. You know what I mean? That growth, we decide. We can very much hold ourselves back. I'm guilty of it. I think most of us are. But in those times of weakness, in those times of confusion and sadness, go within. And for a long time I was like, what does that mean? Like, how do you do that? Yeah, that would trigger me so much when people would tell me that. Just go within. Well, going within requires us as humans to do things that we're not taught how to do. For the most part. I mean, I guess different, religions or whatever. I guess a lot of it just depends on how you were raised. But being in a room that's completely silent with nothing but your thoughts, no sounds, no people, no animals, that can be very scary at first. Especially if your mind is full of thoughts that you've been trying to ignore. It's not easy to go in and find out where are these thoughts coming from? Why do I feel this way? Because most of the time, we're going to find that it's something within us that we need to work on. And yeah, it's nice when we have people around us that can help us do that. If it wasn't for the internet, I would be lost. I would be up shit creek without a paddle. Because I'm taking this ride solo. I've been solo for a long time. And yes, the people that came into my life temporarily were there to teach me lessons, but they weren't easy lessons. And they weren't helping me as far as in a good way to learn those lessons. Or to get through those lessons. They might start out good, but that doesn't typically last very long if you're dealing with dishonest people. 11:01 on the timer. And unfortunately, the way people are, not just in this day and age, it's always been that way. The way people are, people give in and they become deceptive and dishonest and dirty. And when you're constantly up against that, you have to be able to trust yourself. And you have to be able to put your trust in the spirit realm, in the Most High, in the divine, however you want to say it. You have to be able to put your trust in that. Just make sure you're on the good side of things. Because if you take that dark path, you're not going to be as happy in the end as you think you will be. The mind is a battlefield. And I promise you, when people get old and they're left and forgotten about, because that's what happens when we get old, people just forget about us. I mean, that's just the reality of it. People live their lives and forget. And you're left where you don't have a choice but to be alone with your thoughts. I promise you, they will eat you alive. I've witnessed it firsthand. I have witnessed elderly people being left to their own destruction because they've done so many awful things in their life. The kids are grown, the grandkids are grown, you know, maybe their spouse has passed away and they're left there alone with nothing but time to ruminate about life. The good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful. And if you have a conscience at all, and I promise you, as you get older, if you don't have one now, you will get one. God won't give you a choice. And you'll be eaten alive by the regret and the shame and the sorrow that your past actions caused. I mean, unless you're just a soulless being. But I'm not really talking to those kind of people, because soulless beings, I don't think, ever change. I don't think that they were always soulless. But they made a choice at some point in life that led them down that road. And I do believe that there is a point where you can go too far and not come back from it. I do believe that. Yes, I believe there's forgiveness and grace and mercy, but I also believe that our God is an awesome God, and He's an honest God, and He's a vengeful God. You will pay for the bad things that you've done. There's a lot of people that don't believe in karma. I 100% fully do believe in karma. Most definitely. And I've said it for a while now. Just because you don't believe in something doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Just because you don't believe in it doesn't take the truth of it away. And karma is most definitely one of those things. It's paying your dues for the actions and the wrongs that you've done, or the rights that you've done. You got dharma and karma, good karma, bad karma. What you put out always comes back to you. So if you put bad shit out, bad shit's going to come back to you. If you put good stuff out, good stuff's going to come back to you. That's just the way it goes. Alright. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to do several videos today, several card pulls today, so I'll be back with those in a little bit. Be grateful for what you have, the big, the small, and the blessings yet to come. If you see a need out there today, tomorrow, next week, if there's any possible way that you can fill that need, please do so. You may not only better their day, but you could possibly change their life, and you never know the impact that it could have on yours. Be blessed, find peace, and I'll see you next time.